You know, as much as we talk about the issues of the day, politics and the social issues and, of course, the news, everybody needs to get away once in a while. We just do. And the more we become connected, the more we have iPhones and iPads and, you know, all this technology that just inundates us with information on a 24/7 basis, the more all of us need to get away. And this is the wonderful thing. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter. And yesterday, I saw a news story that said 90% of children under the age of 2 are using some form of iPad, smartphone every single day. And to me, that's a little alarming. I mean, to me, part of me is just screaming, wait a second, we got to get back to something, back to some baseline of normality. And I've seen a rise in what's called off-the-grid sort of vacationing. And I found somebody who is a wonderful expert on talking about this subject. And now I want to give you a website first. The website is boundarywaters.com. boundarywaters.com, and his name is John Schiefelbein. John, welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Josh, it's good to talk to you.
It is great having you. I've been to the website. I've never been to the Boundary Waters, to be honest with you. I've lived in Wisconsin well over 25 years of my life, and I've never been there. But I was researching, you know, this sort of phenomenon, this get off the grid sort of vacationing that everybody's finding so appealing, and your name kept coming up. Let's start with why off the grid. I mean, let's start with the appeal. Why are people moving towards this form of vacation?
Well, over and over, psychologists keep saying that the U.S. traveling public are poor vacationers. They never get away from the stress. They're going back to their email. They're calling the office, checking in with people, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and they don't really get into themselves and get away. I mean, myself, my wife Kathy and I will go on vacation. It's 2 or 3 days before we actually get the head clear, and I'm making an effort to, quote, get off the grid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, my last trip, I had to take 2 people and 4 different armored bags with me just so I could continue to do what I do. And I saw your website, and secretively I'm like, oh, man, I'm gonna duck away for a week. So obviously this is something that's appealing. Tell us a little bit about, then, the Boundary Waters. I mean,
okay.
What is it? I mean, we have listeners in all 50 states. Some people are thinking, you know, what are you talking about?
Well, the first thing to get to the Boundary Waters is put your finger on the map at the western tip of Lake Superior, which is Duluth and Superior, Wisconsin. Go straight north till you hit the border, and that's the canoe country. On the U.S. side, it's called the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, and on the Canadian side, it's called Quetico Provincial Park. And we outfit on both sides. We're located in Ely, Minnesota, about 2 hours north of Duluth, Superior. And what we do is we take people when they get out of the car, we supply all their equipment, all their food. We plan and map their trip based on what they tell us they want to do, whether it's go out and catch a big fish or camp by a waterfall or an island or hear a loon or a wolf or see a moose or whatever their picture of wilderness is. And then most of them spend the night with us, and the next morning we either put them on a float plane or we take them out by towboat or drive them out by van to the, quote, end of the road, and we cut them loose. And a trip can be either as difficult or as easy as they want it to be. Like I said, we planned it around their ability level, so as long as they feel comfortable in a canoe. I don't care if they can paddle straight or know just how to do a J-stroke. I can teach that. That's easy. But as long as they feel comfortable being in a canoe and they know just the very basics of camping, how to set up a tent and how to cook a meal over a stove or a fire, they're good to go. But the Boundary Waters and Quetico Park combined are huge, huge areas. 2.3 million acres, 1,500 square miles, about 2,500 lakes out there, and we can gear it for whatever kind of adventure they want.
You know, I got to tell you, if this was a television show, people would see my foot tapping right about now because I'm getting excited just thinking about this. So the one thing I want to point out is really to reemphasize what you said. I was looking over the literature and over your website. This isn't something that you need to be the bear survivalist guy from Discovery Channel. I mean, this is something that families do, Boy Scout troops do. Just because we're getting away from technology doesn't mean you need this, like, Green Beret style survival skill to do this.
You don't. You don't have to be a prepper. You don't have to be a survivalist. As long as you like being outdoors, this is a step away from the state park type camping. You don't have the convenience store down the block, but you don't have to be a woodsman. You don't have to be a camping hero out there. We've got 2 years ago we started a package called Their First Time, which was aimed at mom, dad, and younger kids, grade school kids, and we send them out for a couple of nights, and we make the routes very easy. But if they want to be off by themselves, that's fine. If they'd rather feel a little bit more comfortable having somebody else somewhere on a lake that they happen to be camping on, we can do that too. So it's such a bonding experience, whether it's a couple or a family, a father son, mother daughter for that matter, or just old time buddies that have done lots and lots of trips, and they just want to get together. We've done bachelor parties, and we got a group of nurses from Fort Leavenworth, Missouri. They come up about every 2 or 3 years. They're all Army officers, and they've been doing this for, probably the last 15 years. They've probably had 5 or 6 trips, and it's just a chance to leave everybody else behind and really get to know yourself and your companions.
That bonding thing is, I think, really what people are looking for. And when we look at modern vacations, the kids go and they still take the technology with them. You have nothing other than bonding. You have to work together in the canoe, you have to work together on the tent, and it really creates these memories. Once I found out about this Boundary Waters, I started asking people who have gone, what did you think? And all of them instantly just light up. The sparkles get in their eyes, and they're like, oh my goodness, I wouldn't change that for the world. I had the best time up there. So it's obviously something that people enjoy. What are some of the experiences that you've seen coming back? Obviously you've had to seen the refreshed look too, right?
The refreshed look, but it's more that self satisfaction of, quote, having done it, and that's not to put down anybody's idea of what adventure is by any means, but we work with all sorts of people at all sorts of levels with all sorts of goals, and just the mere fact of we've never taken a camping trip before, that's fine. They've got their goals, and if I can give them a trip to have them succeed, that's good. Or I've got people, they've paddled the Churchill River and the Mackenzie River in Canada, and they've hiked the Grand Canyon and all that. Their goals would be different, but we put out a group last year, 3 dads. They all worked at a bank in Omaha, and they're late teenage sons. They had never done a trip like this. And,
well, John, hold on 1 second. We're up against the break. I want to hear how their trip went, and then honestly give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about what you guys specifically do. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Want to be the smartest person you know? Then keep listening. This is the Josh Tolley Show on GCN Radio Network. All right, let's just paint a picture for a second. You're probably at work or in the car, and you're sitting there, noises around you, traffic, pollution, email, computer. Just think, okay, here you are. Your body is excitedly exhausted. Not the same sort of tired you get after being at a job for 40 hours that week, but the tired you get after having fun. So you're excitedly exhausted. You have a couple walleye on the fire. Your tent is all set up. The sun is starting to set. And guess what? There's no cell phone. And there's not going to be an alarm clock tomorrow. I mean, come on. Wouldn't you want to do this? We are talking about doing that very thing. The website, boundarywaters.com. The man's name, John Schuffelbein. Now, John, you were going to finish a story about some gentlemen who joined you. Finish that, and then I'd like to get into the services you provide.
We'll do that real quick. These guys were from Omaha. They had worked together for quite a number of years. They came up with their high school senior sons. And they had terrible weather. I mean, when God doled out the good weather, they were last in line. and they were doing a fly-in. The flight was delayed. I suggested they wait till the next day, and they said, nope, we're going to go. And so they went out when the flight could get through, and they went out and caught fish, and it rained a bunch on them, and it got windy for a couple of days, and they worked their way back. But when they came back, all 6 of them were just glowing about how they had come together. The boys didn't know each other prior to the trip, and they were best friends now. And the dads, who had worked together for, 15, 20 years, they were like brothers. And I talked to one of them just the other day, because we're going to Omaha for the sports show, and he said, "Geez, that was the greatest experience I've ever had in my life, because I got to know my son," and that makes you feel good.
That's awesome. Yeah, it does. Man, I don't even have kids, and it made me feel good. Okay, so let's say somebody's thinking about this. Let's say they're listening to this show and they're thinking, okay, yeah, I mean, I understand the appeal, but I don't have a backpack. I don't know what to pack. I don't, what comes with this sort of outfitting package?
We do everything or anything. If they've got some of their own gear, we'll just fill in the holes. If they don't have the slightest bit of camping gear, we do what's called complete outfitting. That's the majority of what we do, but we look at all the customers the same. They can arrive with a fishing rod and a smile and hopefully a good credit card, and we'll take care of the rest. They pick the menu. That's on our website. When they type in boundarywaters.com, be sure to put the A in boundary. It's one of the most misspelled words I've ever seen. We supply the tents and the packs and the paddles and the life jackets and the knife, fork, and spoon, the salt and pepper, and all your meals and snacks. But the biggest thing we do is we listen to what people tell us of what they want out of that trip, and then I'll pick an area in that 1,500 square miles that's going to best suit what it is they're coming for their ability, for the length of time that they're going to be out, and then I'll plan that trip with them. It's a two-way deal when they get here, and we map it out, and out they go. And there's decisions they'll make while they're out there. If they want to speed it up or slow it down a little bit, those adjustments will be there. But we take care of all the details. We get the permits. We get the Canadian, U.S. side permits, whichever side they're going to be on. And then supply all the gear. The staff goes over the food with them. We show them how to use the stoves, how to set up the tents. They can try the canoes. We're a lakeside outfitter, which is an advantage as far as especially first-time people, because they can actually see which canoe they like. They're not all created equal. And then we answer the questions and talk to them a little bit about fishing tackle. If they've got all the right stuff, great. If they need us to, round off an edge with a lure or two, we've got a very small but functional tackle shop. We get them all set to go.
And, of course, they don't need to catch fish in order to sustain life while they're out there. You guys do a great job at packing food, right? We pack all the food, and we've got probably 1 party in 5, maybe 20% are hardcore fishermen. Probably another half to 3/4. They want to do a little bit of fishing while they're out there, but that's not the reason they're coming. And we've got some that don't bring a fishing rod because it's not their thing. So, in terms of time commitment, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at 2 days, 7 days? Most
people, we start with 3 days, 2 nights, so where the trip consists of a first night and a last night, but we don't do one-night trips. But the average party comes up for 5 or 6 days. Some come up for 10 days, 14 days, but with work schedules the way they are, it's usually a week. They can start any day of the week they want. They usually arrive, spend the night with us here at the base at the lake, and then take off the next morning. They're out 5 or 6 days on the water. And when they come off, probably half, like all your Wisconsin listeners or the Minnesota listeners who can get home that afternoon, or and get back late in the afternoon, we'll do that. The ones that are going to fly back to Los Angeles or Atlanta, they'll spend the night and drive down to Duluth or Minneapolis to jump a plane the next day.
And I want to kind of paint this picture again. I mean, we're talking about a huge area, 2.3 million acres. This isn't going to be the crowded beach that you go to the local campground with. This is an area where you're going to see wildlife. You're going to see paleo art on some of the cliff walls, and a lot of these watered areas. Isn't it true too that you can't even have a motored boat? So this is quiet. This is solitude.
Being a federal wilderness area, probably 98% of the lakes out there are motor free. There's a couple that were established motor routes, like to get up to the border prior to the Wilderness Act, but they're all non-mechanized lakes, and both on the U.S. side and the Canadian side. And then, in addition to that, the restrictions on not using motors, there's an entry permit quota that we arrange for those permits. But on some lakes, some starting points, there's only one party a day. You are it. You're the only party that can start there that day. Some are a little bit busier, but that depends on the nature of the party.
Absolutely amazing. So what would you say to people who say, well, I've only had the California, the Florida, Walt Disney World sort of vacations. I don't know if I could do this. What would you say to those doubters?
The very first thing I tell them is to go on our website, boundarywaters.com, and see if you have any interest in this kind of vacation at all. And it's a pretty extensive website. If it still sounds like it's a good deal, give us a call or use the online form to request information. We'll send out a brochure. We'll send out a DVD, a map of the area. They can study that. Then they can give us a phone call and say, hey, I haven't done this before. Here's what I've kind of got in mind. And if it works, great. But the trip is not for everybody. And the worst thing you can do is to talk somebody into it that really doesn't want to go, because then you won't come back friends. But if you've got just a little bit of spirit of adventure, like I said, you feel comfortable sitting in a canoe, and you can do that on local city park, lakes down around Madison, Mendota, or whatever. They just feel comfortable, and it's not your very first night sleeping in the tent, because there's all sorts of sounds in the woods where you want your partner. Well, you're closer to the door. You take a look, and you get that all the time. And but if that sounds like the kind of experience that you're looking for, you've dreamt about it, you've thought about it for years. Well, there is no square on a calendar marked someday. You got to put the X down by one of the numbers and say it's time to do it.
I completely agree, and people should know that even though this sounds like, the perfect commercial, it's not. We really just called you up and said, hey, we want to talk about this, because to me, that's exactly what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this constant inundation of information all the time, and you always have to be on. I sleep with my phone within arm's reach of me every single night. I'm just in that world, and I want to get out of it so bad, and I think so many other people are in that same situation, yet they don't really know options like this exist, which is why I thought it was vitally important to have you on, because we hear from people all the time, I just want to unplug for a while, just rejuvenate. Out of the people that come, do you get a lot of repeat business because of that?
Probably about 2/3 of our parties have been here before, and it either falls every year or every third year for some reason, and they'll come back, and or somebody will call and say exactly what you did, John. I got to clear my head. I got to recharge my batteries, and getting away from technology, that's real easy. About the second lake, you've lost cell phone service, and there's no place to recharge the iPad. But for those people that just have to have communication, it's a physician or attorney waiting for a judge's ruling or something, we do have satellite phones if they want to check with the office once in a while.
We're up against the end, my friend.
The GCN Radio Network.